Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two American brandies, 40% alcohol, no age statement. Typically, brandy typically does not have an age statement, but these are both 40% alcohol. Some have an age statement, most don't. Okay, this is Korbel California brandy, and it's from Korbel Winery, California Champagne Cellar. So they mainly make champagne. They were started in 1889, but all along, since they've been making champagne, they've been making brandy. And brandy is wine that is distilled into a liquor. So, and then they'll age it in this case, charred oak barrels, charred oak for a number of years, or however long they want to. So it's one of the old brands in America, maybe the oldest in existence, right? Because the rest are like Parmesan. That's pretty old though. E&J is newer. It's only 49 years old. Which sounds, you say, well, 49 years, that's a long time ago. Well, in the world of brandy, 49 years is like the other day, okay? Because they got some of these cognac brandies, they've been making them since the hundreds, really. So, all right, now here's another one that's fairly new, but it's over 50 years old. Bankers Club Select Brandy, been on the market since 1969. I like the label. Now, the label's cool with this like medieval guild, like a guild Hanseatic League type thing. It's got the grapes. It's got this gargoyle looking head. Brandy has its roots over there in Europe. So that's what they're going after with the label. The back doesn't say much. Bankers Club Brandy. I wanted to buy the glass bottle, but they only had the plastic handle, so I was kind of like limited, obviously, to this. It's bottled in New Jersey. Don't know where it's from. It's bottled in New Jersey by Laird and Company, family-owned company, they're known for their apple brandy. So it's a brandy company, but their claim to fame is Applejack, which is a brandy made from apples instead of wine. They make apple wine, which we call cider. Most people buy the apple wine at that stage, cider, which some people think is a beer, but it's actually a wine. But they take it to the next step. They take the apple wine or cider, and then hard cider, and they distill it into Applejack. I've never had Laird's Applejack. I know Martin Fine Wine and Spirits and Metairie, they have like 4 or 5 different variants of their Applejack. From pricey to more pricey to extremely pricey. None of them are cheap. But I guess they have an apple flavor. I couldn't tell you because I have never had it. If somebody had it and wanted me to try it, yes, I would try it. Okay, so I finished that, I would call it disastrous taste challenge series when I was finishing up whiskey with always finish up whiskey with blended scotch. And I had the WD Liquors blended scotch whiskey, and it was so unpleasant that it lost 18 out of 18 taste challenges. If one should even use the word challenge, because there wasn't much challenge involved. 18 out of 18 losses, 0% success rate, no wins. I won because I got it right every time, but I don't see how you could possibly get it wrong. So the most challenging thing about that was just to get through it, honestly. Now I'll only have to go back to that WD scotch, blended scotch, every time, once a year when I do the Scotch taste challenges, at worst twice. So won't be missing that one. Now, Korbel, it's a tight cork. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. It's not a cork. It's the neoprene. It functions the same as a cork, and they got it molded like cork, but it's a neoprene is our type of synthetic rubber made by DuPont. And they use it mainly for the bottom of tennis shoes, shoe soles and other shoes, that spongy rubber type substance. So, and my father retired from DuPont, and that's what they made over there, neoprene. Not only neoprene, but that was a big part of that particular refinery. It was very dangerous working in that kind of facility. A lot of toxic chemicals and threat of chance of explosion. And it exploded twice while he was working there. Well, once on the way to work, and then when he was there, it had a very bad explosion, killed some people. Both times killed people. So, all right. But anyway, so that's neoprene, and that's what they're using. Some people claim it's better than cork because it doesn't deteriorate as fast. The cork gets crumbly and dry rots. And Eric Fraunfelter's Thomas Metal 75 found that out when he was doing an absinthe, a modern absinthe brand. He had left it alone for a number of years. It wasn't 30 years, 20 years. It wasn't even 10 years. You just had it on the shelf, and it dry rotted, and he went to pop the cork, and it just disintegrated into the absinthe. So then he had to go to take a coffee filter, and pour the absinthe through the filter and let it drain and get the cork out. Well, that's a big pain, I mean, it's doable, but it's aggravating. So then you can't reseal it because the cork is gone. Luckily, he was at the end of the bottle. He only had like that much to drink, and he drank it all. And that's why you see me tipping them and moisturizing the cork. And there's a purpose behind that. So I was glad in a way to see that, because I was able to tell other people, haha, I told you that the doggone things will dry rot. Because somebody was like, you're fanatical about it. You worry too much. It's going to take decades for that to happen. I was like, okay, but he had it less than a decade and it happened. So obviously it doesn't take that long. All right. This is a screw cap, which is convenient. Doesn't have the cachet of cork though, but price point. Yeah, we'll look at that in a minute. In a moment. Okay. So the Korbel is darker, which probably is a result. Well, it could be from caramel color added. But also probably has something to do with them using, as they specify on their website, charred oak. You don't have to use charred oak for brandy, believe me. You just have to age it in oak barrels for however many years you choose to. It could be very young, which would be a VS brandy. Very special, but really very, they ought to call it VY brandy, very young. But you can go mid-range, which is VS is 2 to 4 years, more likely 2. VSOP 4 to 6 years, more likely 4. And then your XO brandies typically, but there's no law about it. It's just something that the industry does. There's no law. They'll go 6 to 10 years, hopefully. And I can't get this thing to focus. It's really irritating. It's a stubborn camera. Well, I give up. Well, you know what it looks like. You know what liquor looks like, brown liquor. All right. So let's check out Total Wine, a more convenient website, which I know carries both of these brands. So Walmart probably does not. Page crashed. Weird. Now that's weird. Total Wine might be having a problem there. This is the time of day when they're redoing their website. So overnight, 2 to 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, they'll figure a lot of people aren't on it. So a lot of times you'll notice you get on the bank website or something and you'll say under maintenance at this time of day. And it's usually when they'll send updates. Microsoft send updates at that time. And then sometimes the updates are faulty, like with that thing last week, and it crashed the whole world system. And they thought it was like a cyber attack, but it was just a bad program, a bad app program update. Update. It was written wrong, and it caused all the commotion. Okay. All right. Anyway, Let's see, screen share, right? Total Wine. Korbel brand. Korbel makes regular wine. I think they just specialize in champagne, but they might. I don't really delve into their champagne, their wine production area too much at all. But boy, around Christmas and New Year's, especially New Year's, that Korbel, they'll always in a store, and they'll have all the different on sale, or on display at least. May not be on sale. $3.99 for a handle, 1,750 milliliter or 1.75 liter. Yeah, that's cheap, and that's the only apparently the only size they sell. And I got a liter bottle. I bought a liter for $14.99 at Dorgnax Food Center. $13.71. It's actually cheaper now per ounce than when I bought it, which was 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah. So Korbel, it's not a cheapo brandy, but it's pretty. And the Korbel California is their basic one. Okay, there's many levels that'll cost a whole lot more than this. This is a good starting point. This is a good starting point because that's where it starts, right? Bankers Club brandy. They don't sell it in my town anymore, but that rotates. You might see it next month, this month, nearby stores. So the closest they have it is in well, it's out of stock right now. See, they carry it, just they don't have it in stock at the time. It says aisle 5, left, bay 20. Just not in stock at the moment. It'll probably come back when the supplies are replenished. Okay, so there it is. Same bottle I was showing you. This is a different one. Fine French brandy. So that's not the same. I had the select. Important word, select. That means Laird selected it from some supplier and they bought it. They don't claim anywhere that they produce it. It simply says they bottle it. So now this one is a French brandy. Okay, well, they might have gotten a new contract with a French supplier. No problem there. But so if I see that one, I'll buy it because it's different. You would assume it has to be different country. So that's very interesting. I just noticed that first time today. Mild and easy to drink. Now saying USA, well, the bottle says France. You know how that goes. It could change every couple of months, depending on their supplier. Mild and easy to drink with fruit and wood notes blending together harmoniously. Serves as the perfect complement to any brandy-based cocktail, versatile and smooth. A great value. And it's only $1 cheaper. So $22.99 versus $23.99, same size bottle. And I paid the $29, I believe that's what that was. Might have been $1 less when I bought it. Honey and taste, oh well, maybe. Salty snacks, dried fruit, and smoked pork. Smoked pork, okay. Gets a 90, but only 4 reviews, so not a good sample size, but still, the 4 people that reviewed it gave it a 90 on average. Korbel's getting a 90, so, but 80 would make sense because much more available. So we'll get off of that. Korbel's California Brandy website. It won last State Fair wine competition gold medal. Won gold medals 2 times somewhere. Whatever's won that. Handcrafted in small batches. That's questionable. How are these mass produced in small batches at an artisan distillery? It's kind of like Tito's vodka. Somebody tried to go to court on that lawsuit saying it's not handcrafted. But the judge didn't buy it because he was saying, well, what does that even mean? Handcrafted. You got to press a button at the factory to get the machines working, right? That you're using your hands to press the button. So artisan distiller, person that makes products by hand. So gold rich butterscotch aroma, extra smooth taste. I don't think extra smooth is a taste. That's a mouthfeel, but yeah, that's what they're saying. Old fashioned, naturally a brandy product. Common cocktail sidecar, another common one, a Manhattan. And then there's a whole thing about Francis Korbel, who fled the the Kingdom of Bohemia in 1848 and came to America after a failed revolution. He went to California. That was a good. He was a left-wing revolutionary. California, that makes sense. Okay, but whatever the case, Bohemia, now known as the Czech Republic, but back then it was called the Kingdom of Bohemia. Oh, I made a mistake. We got to on Bankers Club for a moment. Now, Bankers Club is a line that Laird and Company sells. Bankers Club, never had it. Never. Well, I did see it at Total Wine. That's right. But I have too much bourbon now, so I didn't buy it. I wanted Bankers Club glass, but I didn't see it. Bankers Club blended with that in the big bottle, the handle, plastic. It's pretty good. Nothing great, but certainly not bad. Gin, vodka, blended scotch, rum, white, clear rum. Okay, there you go. And then they have recipe you can look over. Oh, just show you a few other products they make, just for your general information. There's those Apple Jacks. Now they got these ready to drink. Every company is making these now, ready to drink canned cocktails for people on the go, don't have time to make them, or don't feel like. 10th generation apple brandy, bottle and bond. Huh. How about that? But that's not $23.99. 12-year-old rare apple, and their single cast selection. So yeah, those are going to cost you a whole lot more than $23.99. You see, and then they got their standard ones, the Jersey Lightning. That's a unaged apple brandy moonshine type of thing. You got to watch that. You'll be struck by lightning if you drink that too much. Old, 7.5 years old, 6 proof. There's a ready to drink old fashioned, blended Applejack, and bottle and bond Applejack, straight apple brandy. So yeah, selection. And then, as you can see, they have the G&W private stock bourbon, 5-year age, Gooderheim and Wirtz. That was an old liquor company that got bought out. Laird's barrel series. That's more Applejack with different barrel treatments. Amaretto, blended Scotch, Barristers. I've seen some Barristers products, not that one. I have a bottle, or I had a bottle. It's gone. Pretty good stuff, actually. Been around since 1961. 5-star whiskey, never had it. Heard about G&W, Gooderheim and Wirtz. I guess they got that in their buyout. Barristers Maple Pecan Gold. Seen it around Philadelphia. Zapata Gold and Silver tequila. That peach cup, peach flavor vodka. Always want to sound Russian. Bankers Club Urban Reserve. Certainly not had that one. That's going to be a much higher price point. Four Queens. Got a bottle of that. Four Queens 101. It's a 101 proof blended whiskey. Interesting product, at least. And if you drink too much, you'll probably write some interesting and not realize it till the next day. G&W private stock bourbon. I have a bottle of that. Private stock, public stock. Okay, I have a bottle. I got a great deal on it at warehouse, so that'll be coming into play when I get back to bourbon eventually. Then there's Bankers Club, which they purchased from a company called Kasser of Philadelphia. Well, they actually purchased the whole company. Clock. I don't know what 5 o'clock is. Obviously, it's some kind of rail products. Rum and vodka and gin. Okay, so you might see that at a bar room in the well. Senators Club, another inexpensive brand that they probably bought from some other company. Blended. I've never seen their. You know what? Take that back. I do think I've seen Senators Club at Savannah Discount, Star, another famous Louisiana liquor store. I didn't buy it. I just seen blended whiskey. I think I saw the gin, vodka, brandy. Now I'd like to find that. I could bring in the brandy taste challenges. Huh. Select brandy, probably. Well, I can't say it's the same as this one I have, but some people claim that these liquor companies take the same product, just relabel it. Dark rum, light rum. Now, Buffalo Trace was like demonstrative on the lady said, we never do that. So we never take the same product and just put a different label on it and sell it at Buffalo Trace. I assume she's telling the truth. Doesn't mean that it's not almost identical. They might slightly tweak the recipe, barely change it, but just enough to where they can claim it. No, it's not the same thing. It's like the beer companies, Anheuser-Busch, they'll have 30 different lagers that are almost identical, almost the same ABV, same bitterness level, mass produced. But if you notice, the recipe will be just slightly different. Each one is just so close. But then they'll say, hey, it's different. Different is different. So, and I guess they're right. Miller Coors does the same thing. Molson Coors, same thing. There'll be a portfolio of almost identical products, but they'll all have these little minuscule variations. All right, so when I showed you Korbel, you saw all the other ones lined up, all those other much higher grade Korbel, 25-year age and a 30-year age. Well, it's obvious that's not going to be $23.99. All right, it might be $223.99. It's like Jose Cuervo. You say, well, that's cheap. I can get a handle for 30, 29, 30. Yeah, but they also have Jose Cuervo Family Reserve, and it's like $250. A much higher grade tequila that's extra age. I've never bought it because I didn't want to spend $230 on it, but I'm sure it's infinitely better than the regular Cuervo Gold. Now, the thing I'm going to look for, the mental clue, the mental cheat sheet is I remember the Bankers Club being extra dry. It's so dry. There's hardly any sweetness to it. So I think that's the clue I'm going to use. All right. Smell like brandy. It's brandy. If you never had brandy, they kind of smell like raisins, like regular dark raisins or the golden raisins. If you get a box of raisins like Sun-Maid from California. Not much aroma here. No sweetness in the nose. You could smell if something, technically you can't smell sweetness, but you could smell that something will be sweet. You know what I'm saying? Like that it will smell like it will be sweet. And this doesn't have any aroma really, so that's got to be the dry one. All right, taste time. Cheers. Yeah. Pick up a little bit of that charred oak and that raisin. And it's more like golden raisin because usually, there's certainly no law against it. Usually, these brandies and cognac brandies use white wine. They're under no obligation to use white wine. They can use dark grape wine. Whatever you want to do. You just have to age it in oak, whether it's charred or uncharred. That's your business. It has to be aged in oak for a period of time. Now, it could be very little time. All right. And it may add color and flavoring. Brandies can have coloring and flavoring added, and they don't have to disclose it on the label. So any brandy you drink could have coloring added and flavoring added, unless it will state no coloring, natural color and natural flavor. Okay, then you got, now if it says with natural flavors, all right, so yeah, brandies can be tweaked up. Now there's limits, like if you read the regulations for the United States, it'll say not to exceed 2.5% of the volume. So it'll say NTE, not to exceed, got to be harmless coloring and or flavoring. It won't hurt you if you drink it. And it can't exceed 2.5. Other countries got different numbers. All right, let's go over here. Oh, that's dry. That's just alcohol. It's just dry. There is a shadow of grapes, and it's, to me, very obviously white grapes or golden raisins. It's so dry. May or may not appeal to you. Now, if you got a sweet tooth and you like sweet liquor, you'll hate it. You say, no, I can't stand these liquors. They're so sweet, sugary. Why they always got to be sugary? But I didn't get this one because it's dry, dry, dry. It finishes dry. It's not sweet. I would say it's 95% not sweet and only 5% sweet. Whereas the Korbel, I think this is Korbel, it's mostly sweet. Like I said, box of golden raisins, eat them. You say, oh, that's sweet. Okay. People put it in cereal. Well, the dark raisins in Raisin Bran and so forth. So that's your choice. If you want pretty sweet, get the Korbel. If you want incredibly dry, get the Banker's Club. So does Banker's Club taste like any other brandy I've ever had? No, it doesn't. Certainly not. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just unusual. Unusual does not connote bad. It just connotes that it's not the typical experience. It's just not what I would have expected. But I'm very pleased with it. I have to say, I'll give it like a B plus minimum. Wouldn't go lower than a B plus. 88 would be the lowest score. Could go higher. Korbel is definitely in the A range. Say 93, 94, something like that. 93. It's a solid product, super solid. But Korbel is a famous company. Been around since 1889, like I told you. Yeah, they got bought out. They're owned by a different family now, Brown-Forman Company. Brown-Forman is family owned, but it's not the Korbel family. Francis Korbel died, what, 1940s? Real old. His family, it's the same old story. They didn't want it, so they sold it. Okay, which one do I prefer? I guess I prefer the sweet one, and I like that oak. It's got a lot of wood coming through. Now, when I was a little kid and I would sip wine from my grandmother or my parents, because they let you sip it. My parents were pretty liberal with stuff like that. Ultra conservative with other issues, but liberal with that kind of stuff. Not persnickety about children sipping wine or beer. Which probably helps people not become alcoholics because it's not like a mystique. When I was a teenager and kids would be like, look, we got some wine. We snuck out the house. I was like, so? It was like, big deal. Been sipping that stuff since I was 2 years old, or younger. So, it's like there's no mystique to it. But they were all like fascinated and they kept drinking. I remember they all got sick and were really drunk. It was probably some cheap Mogan David or something like that. My mother was like, did you hear about those boys getting drunk and all? I said, yeah, I heard about it. I said, well, no, I didn't hear about it, but I believe it. I said, because I was at their house and they had this bottle of wine and they wanted to drink it. I took a little sip and I was like, yeah, son, tastes like wine, no fascination for me. I said, but I saw that they were getting kind of crazy, starting to drink to him. I just left, got on my bicycle, came home. I was like 14 years old, 15. I just told her, I said, no, I'm not into that type of thing. Now, my parents worry, like any parent, like, oh, he might get in trouble with, but I just didn't care about it. They would have parties, teen parties, they'd be drinking wild and getting crazy. I would drink one Budweiser. They would say, you want a beer? Yeah, fine. Like I said, I don't care about it. I didn't care. I would drink one Budweiser. It might take 2 hours. Thing would be hot by the time I was in. But I wasn't fascinated by it. And then I would leave. They would get wild. I was fine. Wasn't in my house. I'd leave. Come home and say, let them tear the house apart. I don't care. So it's that kind of attitude. And I think the liberal attitude of my parents, liberal, I'm talking about with alcohol, helped me not get involved in all of that because I had no fascination with it. Like I said, it held no fascination to me. So I had friends getting sick, drunk, pass out and everything. And I was just thinking, I don't think that could be healthy. I don't think that's a good idea. But do what you want. Doesn't matter to me, especially since I'm not paying for it and it's not in my house. They weren't going to bring it to my house. There's a lot going for this. Any bad thing about it? No, I can't see anything bad about it. It's just very dry. Dry is not a bad. It's not an off flavor. It's not an off aspect. It's just a feature of it. It's dry, and that's it. You could even say crisp, like a Bud Light, or oh no, don't say Bud Light. Oh, Miller Light. People are funny, but is it worth seeking out? No, it's not worth seeking out. No. But if you happen to be in Total Wine and they've got on the shelf, hey, it's worth buying, no doubt. You're not going to waste $22.99. You're not. If you find a liter bottle, like it might be $11.99 or something, that might be better for your glass and all. But yeah, it's worth buying. Korbel definitely, is one of the major brands. So yeah, there you go. Not to say just because something is a major brand means it's great. I don't mean that. But it probably means it's not terrible, because it wouldn't be a major brand. If it was terrible, it wouldn't be famous. It wouldn't be popular. You got people, they're like fanatics. They get on here, get on the internet talking about Crown Royal. It's garbage. I'd rather, it's horrible. And they tell you all these terrible things they'd rather do than drink Crown Royal. And it's like, no, man, it's not horrible. Is it ordinary? Yeah, it's kind of ordinary. Or if you want to say bland, fine. But to sit up there on YouTube or whatever, Instagram or whatever you're on, and then preaching about how Crown Royal is horrible, give me a break. It's a joke. And it's not a good joke. It makes you look silly. To me, it does. All right. Anyway, so the winner neither is a winner, because they're both good. So I have no winner. I just have a personal preference here. I think this is the Korbel. And if it says letter C for competitor, I've got it. It does say letter C because I got the main line. The main M is the main product. And I'm going to do the main product against all the other competitors. We'll see what happens. So there, I got it. All right. Comments, and then I'm out of here. Burley Sullivan says, you. And I would say cheers back to you. Wesley S. Thymer says, one of these days I'll try Corona Familiar. That's a good choice. I remember you recommending it before. I'm not well versed in brandy. Brandy is not like a big thing right these days. I definitely recommend Corona Familiar. I think it's a little better than the standard Corona. Not way better, but it's a little bit better. It's 4.8 versus 4.6. Got a little bit more character, not much more, a little bit more. It's in a brown bottle, which protects it from the light. Definitely a good idea, as opposed to the clear bottle. So I would recommend it. Brandy. I don't think brandy would be too hard to get used to, because it's just think of raisins. That's all you got to think of. And most people like raisins. Now, if you hate raisins, if you say, oh, I can't stand a golden raisin or a dark raisin, it makes me ill. I just hate it. I hate it. And I don't like grapes. And I hate wine. And you might want to avoid brandy. But most people don't have a problem with it. And so they probably like it. And I like it, but it's not like a fashionable thing these days. What's fashionable this day and age? Bourbon, bourbon, bourbon. Everybody's like cuckoo crazy over bourbon. Running here, there, and everywhere to get bourbon. Be waiting in line outside the store to get bourbon. That's the thing, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, bourbon was like ignored. It was like, that's what poor people drink. Or Southern people, bourbon is like, cool people drink vodka and gin in 1974, not bourbon. Brandy was still going strong then. Brandy's always been around, in the liquor days, liquor world, but brandy used to be a lot bigger, like say 50 years ago. Certainly still around. Certainly has a place. Any bar room in the world you go to is going to have brandy or cognac, which is a type of brandy. No doubt about it. Any liquor store going to have brandy, a selection. May not be big, but they'll have it. But the cool kids don't drink it. Like you don't hang out with the cool people. Now, you say, what about Hennessy? Well, that's a subculture that drinks it. But that seems to be fading. If you notice, used to be back in the 1990s, everybody wanted to be bragging about I was drinking Hennessy. I was drinking Hennessy. You heard me? Uh, but maybe their children these days are like, I ain't interested in no Hennessy. That's my daddy drink. So that's kind of faded relative to Crown Royal. Now it's everything. I'm drinking Crown. I saw somebody in the store yesterday asking, y'all got that Crown Royal Blackberry? And the guy was like, nah, we sold out of that in one day. Both times that store had it, they sold out in one day. So if you weren't there to get it, you didn't get it. And it's kind of bland, honestly. But like a friend at work told me, he said, you know, blackberries are kind of bland. You get 100 blackberries and you eat them, you might get 2 that's sweet. And the other 98 will either be sour or not too flavorful. That's why people make the cobbler, you know, or they'll put sugar on it and milk, because it's kind of like neutralist. I wanted to tell that man, hey, you know, they got that old, what's that stuff called? Old something. They make all those flavored whiskeys. Old Smoky, yeah. I wanted to say, hey, you know, they got that Old Smoky blackberry, but I didn't interfere because people get fixated on an object. You know, they will get fixated. It's got to be Crown Royal blackberry. You know, now the Old Smoky might be just as good, might be better. You know, they got like 20 different companies make blackberry flavored whiskey and blackberry brand. They got blackberry flavored brandy, but they'll get fixated on it and they got to have it. And it may not even be as good. You know what I'm saying? So I had the was it LaRue, I think? LaRue from Belgium, but they make it in the United States now. But I had the blackberry and the spice blackberry brandy. Blackberry brandy. Like I told you, brandy can be from any fruit. They were very good. The blackberry was fine, and the spice was good because it had spices in it, like cinnamon, stuff like that. So yeah, but people are very limited. They'll, like I say, get fixated. But anyway, enough preaching, enough ranting. All right, well, y'all take care now. And my hand is hurting. I sprained my hand at work yesterday, my wrist. Oh, it hurts like hell. Damn. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, for another brandy taste challenge. I'm going to do all the American brandies first, all the American ones. And then we'll go overseas. We'll go next door to Mexico. I got the Presidente. Presidente is a famous brandy from Mexico. Pretty good stuff. If you get the right one, the real one, not the 40%, not that Mexican 35%, which was terrible. I didn't realize when I bought it. Then we'll go across the sea to Spain and France. And then we'll move into rum. But that will be about a month from now. All right, well, y'all take care. Thanks for putting up with the long stream. But I thought I think this was long, but not in a bad way, because I was focusing on the topic. Wasn't off on some like side topic like so many people do. And I wanted to really bring these in to focus and concentrate on them, and I did. So the winner is neither one, but I did get it right, and I think I will keep getting it right, but time will tell, won't it? All right, y'all take care and have a great Tuesday. Bye-bye.